Blake Lively scores a win amid her ongoing legal battle against Justin Baldoni. After the Gossip Girl alum and husband Ryan Reynolds applied for a protective order earlier this month to keep sensitive information from circulating to the public, a judge for the Southern District of New York has approved a modified version of the order.
Ryan Reynolds is jokingly calling out his wife, Blake Lively, for ditching him.
It was a big win in court today for Fakely. However, she shouldn't be celebrating too hard.
Hollywood's latest courtroom drama just took a shocking turn. Blake Lively, the beloved actress, fashion icon, and queen of effortless charm, is at the center of a legal battle that's gripping the industry. In a major win, her latest legal request against It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldoni has been granted, but that's just the beginning. Lively is suing Baldoni for alleged on-set misconduct and a post-film smear campaign, while Baldoni fires back with a staggering $400 million countersuit.
There's a big update in one of Justin Baldoni's legal battles. After the New York Times filed a motion to exit the director's $400 million federal defamation lawsuit that also names Blake Lively, husband Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist, a judge has granted the newspaper's request for stay of discovery on March 4th, according to documents obtained by E! News. The filing, which requests that the judge temporarily halt parties from having to exchange information or documents, was granted as United States District Judge Louis J. Lyman reviews the outlet's February 28th motion of dismissal. He notes in the most recent document that the New York Times, which is included in the lawsuit for its December reporting on Blake's Civil Rights Department complaint, presents, quote, substantial grounds and a strong showing that its motion to dismiss is likely to succeed on the merits.
The judge overseeing their federal case in New York, Judge Lyman, ruled on the former B-list actress's request for an additional layer of protection. The unliftable Blake was not happy with the standard protective order in the case. She wanted an attorney's eyes only designation. And the judge has granted that. Congrats to Taylor Swift. Of the judge's ruling, a spokesperson for Delulu says, quote, today, the court rejected the Wayfarer party's objections and entered the protections needed to ensure the free flow of discovery material without any risk of witness intimidation or harm to any individual's security. With this order in place, Ms. Lively will move forward in the discovery process to obtain even more of the evidence that will prove her claims in court.
And just when things couldn't get more intense, one small moment, a single smirk from Blake in court, has set social media on fire. Was it a silent victory or something far more calculated? With feuds, leaked messages, and Hollywood power struggles at play, we're breaking down everything you need to know. Buckle up, this is one scandal you won't want to miss.
The Post said a few things that when we look back now, that kind of makes sense. There were a few things mentioned that insinuates some of the drama that was going on that set. First of all, the person is saying that Blake Lively felt uncomfortable around Justin Baldoni. The person is also claiming that Blake Lively felt uncomfortable when the word "C" was used. And the person also says that, which is what I think most people are reacting to, is that Blake Lively went to Sony Studios and said, if you don't go for my cut of this movie, my version of this movie, I will go out in the New York Times and accuse Justin Baldoni of harassment. And as we know, that is what happened at a later point. But if this is true, that she threatened Sony back then to go to the New York Times and accuse Justin Baldoni of these things, that is pretty damning.
All right, let's start with the courtroom showdown that's got everyone talking. According to sources close to the case, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni have been embroiled in a legal battle for months. The lawsuit reportedly revolves around accusations of defamation, misconduct, and emotional distress, with both sides pointing fingers at each other.
Blake Lively plaintiff versus Wayfarer, then it's Wayfarer plaintiff versus Blake Lively. It's a dueling lawsuit, all consolidated into one, at least for pretrial purposes. Part of the argument by Justin Baldoni is going to try to get their case against the New York Times in California to get away from some of the generous laws that exist in New York State. And of course, that's where the New York Times is located. But they argue your defamatory statements affect my client specifically in California.
If you support Justin, that you are somehow misogynistic, you hate women.
Now, here's where things took a dramatic turn. During a crucial moment in the trial, the judge reportedly reprimanded Justin for alleged misconduct, calling his actions unprofessional and inexcusable. The ruling came with a hefty financial penalty, as Justin was allegedly ordered to pay substantial damages to Blake. While some fans believe this was a justified decision, others argue that Justin was unfairly targeted. Could there be more to this than meets the eye? And more importantly, what was it that caused Blake Lively to smirk?
Why is no one talking to Justin? Why is he doing all the press alone? Why is he getting shunned in interviews? Why is he getting unfollowed on Instagram by Blake Lively, his co-star, and the lead of the movie he directed, and weirdly, Colleen Hoover, who is the author of the book.
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's on-set partnership has turned into a Hollywood legal nightmare. From harassment allegations to a bitter defamation war, the drama behind It Ends With Us is more than just a movie plot. And a lot of people are making comparisons between this case and the infamous battle between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Now, let's get into the moment that's caused a media frenzy, Blake Lively's courtroom smirk. According to eyewitnesses, right after the judge delivered the verdict against Justin, Blake was seen giving what many interpreted as a triumphant, almost amused smirk. But was this just a fleeting reaction, or was it something more calculated? Legal experts suggest that the judge's ruling was a major setback for Baldoni, as it determined that the complexity of the issues at hand and the sensitivity of the documents that will be requested require a highly controlled discovery process. In other words, certain discoveries will be accessible only to attorneys, limiting the chances of leaks that could influence public perception. This decision alone shifts the power dynamics of the case, and some believe Blake's smirk was her way of acknowledging this small but significant victory.
Judge Lyman explains that the burden of discovery is not measured only by the number of pages. He emphasizes it is also determined by the complexity of the issue that discovery will present and the sensitivity of the documents that will be requested. The judge adds that if the court denies the newspaper's motion, Justin's team, who is also suing the New York Times in a separate $250 million defamation lawsuit, can request the extent of discovery they are seeking. A New York Times spokesperson addresses the latest update in a statement to E! News, saying, quote, "We appreciate the court's decision today, which recognizes the important First Amendment values at stake here. The court has stopped Mr. Baldoni from burdening the Times with discovery requests in a case that should never have been brought against."
As the trial unfolds, all eyes are on what these sealed documents might reveal. Could they contain explosive evidence that strengthens Blake's case? Or will they expose Hollywood's deeper, more tangled web of influence and deception? With every new twist, this legal battle is turning into one of the most talked about scandals in recent memory. Social media exploded with reactions. Some say she was just relieved the legal battle was over, while others believe it was a power move, a silent but unmistakable message to Justin and her critics. A few body language experts have even weighed in, claiming that her expression reflected a mix of confidence and vindication.
Baldoni had apparently subpoenaed a security firm that works with the couple, and Gavrnsky argued there was no reason why their security arrangements should be made public for everybody to see. And she also raised the alarm about the potential disclosure of Lively's medical information, including, quote, profound mental health issues as well as details about her children, the locations of private residences, and, quote, personal and intimate conversations with third parties. And Kjersti argued that while these conversations might have, quote, marginal relevance to the case, their, quote, PR will be high if leaked. And she cited Baldoni's alleged connections to individuals who, quote, will do anything and hate Miss Lively, claiming he was operating on an unlimited budget and had, quote, committed $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family. This seems to be in reference to another one of the defendants in this case, Steve Sarowitz, who allegedly pledged at one point that he would spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family.
But here's an interesting twist. A source close to Blake insists the smirk has been completely misinterpreted. Blake wasn't gloating, the source claimed. She was just reacting to the sheer intensity of the moment. So, was Blake throwing subtle shade at Justin, or was it all just blown out of proportion? Let's rewind and dig into the history of their relationship to understand what led to this moment. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, two well-respected figures in Hollywood, but what many don't know is that their history is far from smooth.
The Baldoni team is being accused of malfeasance, of sexual harassment, and in exchange, they have filed a counter lawsuit claiming defamation and basically extortion, saying that Blake Lively tried to steal this movie from Justin Baldoni. And one of the allegations is to show the pressure that was put on Justin Baldoni, who I might refer to, for purposes of example, as a C-list actor, someone who was best known for his role in Jane the Virgin, which most people haven't even seen or heard of. In fact, before this lawsuit, many people did not even know who Justin Baldoni was, because he is not at the level of Blake Lively and her very famous husband, Ryan Reynolds. So Baldoni buys the rights to this movie and starts producing the movie. And as we know, as things unfold, Blake Lively accuses him of doing all kinds of things. And as a response, Justin Baldoni and his team will come back and say, not only did we not do those things, but Blake Lively is the one that's complicit here. Blake Lively is the one that tried to steal this whole entire production out from under me.
Insiders reveal that Blake and Justin were once on friendly terms, even collaborating on projects. But somewhere along the way, things took a turn. Rumors suggest that a major fallout over a film project created tension between them, with accusations of backstabbing and betrayal.
It now appears like a lot of that drama was fabricated by Justin Baldoni's PR team, according to Blake. When the movie was released, there were a ton of rumors surrounding disputes that happened on set, that there was a feud between the two actors. They refused to appear together to promote the film, and there was a ton of public backlash against Blake for how she was responding to questions about domestic violence and would kind of joke or make light of it. And she also was accused of using the opportunity while talking about these sensitive topics to self-promote and push her new hair care line.
Some industry insiders claim that Justin had initially approached Blake for a role in one of his directorial ventures, but due to creative differences, the collaboration never materialized. Was this the beginning of their bad blood? We may never know for sure, but what's clear is that their relationship deteriorated over time, eventually leading to the courtroom battle that now has Hollywood in a chokehold.
You cannot find simply one picture of Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni online. You can't find one on the red carpets. I have not been able to find anything. If you Google Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni, the only pictures that come up are Justin alone, Justin with his wife, Ryan and Hugh Jackman, or Ryan with Blake Lively. There is something going on. It's bigger probably than we can even imagine. I love the spin that they're trying to say that because Justin Baldoni plays a character that is physically abusive in the book/movie. If you haven't seen or read the book, that is what a lot of it is about. And because he plays the villain, they're trying to kind of like separate him out. Do you believe that he was the source of the issues? Meaning he saw this movie as something else. He wanted to run this production in a different way than everyone else did. He had different intentions for this film, and it went against every single other person, including the author of the book. Did Justin Baldoni want to make this movie a really dark, depressing, serious film where everyone, including Colleen Hoover, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Jenny Slate, maybe the studios, who knows, wanted to make it more of an uplifting, like, flower film, which is what you see in all the promos? Because Blake Lively doesn't exactly equal like serious dramatic actress. She is synonymous with like the Taylor Swift, Swiftie generation. And so between her and Ryan Reynolds, who runs all these like funny comedic type films, is there a world where they were thinking that, you know, they wanted It Ends With Us, which is a book serious, like about some serious DV issues, like major drama. You know, it's not just like a happy movie or a happy book. It shouldn't be. Is that what the issue is? What could have been the issue?
But here's where things get even more interesting. Taylor Swift has now been pulled into the drama. Judge Liz recently ruled that Swift possesses relevant evidence in this case, making her a material witness. While it's unclear what exactly Swift knows, sources speculate that her close friendship with Blake Lively may have given her insight into key events behind the scenes. Given Swift's history of calling out industry injustices and manipulations, her involvement could add a whole new layer to this already explosive legal fight.
Why do I believe Taylor Swift is a material witness? I'll tell you why. Justin Baldoni claims that on a specific evening, Blake Lively invited him over to her home in New York City so that they could discuss some possible script changes. Now, this was not her role. She was not hired as a writer. She was not hired to, you know, make script changes, but Justin Baldoni said, you know, he wanted to humor her, he wanted to keep things going smoothly, so he agreed to go over and meet with her for what he anticipated was a business meeting. Now he walks into this townhouse, and not only is her husband there, who's extremely famous, who happens to be a billionaire, who's one of the most famous actors, A-list actors of all time, but also her bestie, Taylor Swift, is there. At first glance, that's also fine because, you know, maybe they were hanging out and Taylor Swift happened to be there and they were gonna, you know, maybe Blake was gonna take some time out of her socializing with Taylor Swift to have this business meeting. But the problem is that when Baldoni arrived, Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds didn't just go to the other room, didn't, you know, leave the two of them, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, alone so that they could discuss whatever they needed to discuss. They actually participated in and sort of ganged up on Justin Baldoni in encouraging him to make the script changes that Blake Lively laid out. Now, let me tell you what the problem is with this. There's simply no way that Taylor Swift can explain her presence at this penthouse during this business meeting and her interference in the business meeting without conceding that she was in fact trying to influence Justin Baldoni. And I'll tell you why. When called to the stand to testify, Taylor Swift is going to be put on the spot and asked specifically why she was there. And assuming she's going to say, I just happened to be there hanging out with my friend, the next questions are going to be, and how did you get involved with reading the script? How did you get involved with reading the Blake Lively's changes to the script? How did you get involved in approaching Justin Baldoni when he walked in and trying to promote and encourage him to adopt Blake's changes to the script? Who asked you to do that? Did you do that on your own? Did you do that at the request of your friend? And what was the point of you doing that?
With allegations, courtroom bombshells, and unexpected witnesses stepping into the spotlight, this trial is shaping up to be one of Hollywood's most shocking legal battles yet.
Now, Kjersti also accused Baldoni's team of even bragging about leaking information, quote, without fingerprints and in an untraceable way, further heightening the risk of irreparable harm. She argued that even contempt proceedings for violating a protective order wouldn't, quote, unring the bell if sensitive information were made public. Now, Justin Baldoni's legal team, they weren't having this. His attorney, Brian Friedman, who as we know has been quite outspoken about this case, fired back, calling the proposal unnecessary and even offensive, saying it's offensive that anyone would suggest we would disregard a protective order. This is a case where no one has any intention of beating up or harming Miss Lively in any way. And Friedman went on to say that he believed the court's model protective order, which is the standard order that the federal court has, basically a template, that's protective enough. And as far as the attorney's eyes only stipulation or designation goes, Friedman argued that his team shouldn't be burdened with having to work around that, saying we shouldn't be put into a position where we're the ones that have to run to court every single time just given attorney's eyes only protection. My client has a right to defend himself. And he also argued that Lively and Reynolds' request would unfairly treat celebrities and powerful industry figures differently from everyone else involved in the case.
Now, let's talk about the aftermath. Since this courtroom moment went viral, celebrities and fans alike have been weighing in. Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, was quick to address the drama in his signature humorous style. When asked about the smirk controversy, he jokingly responded, "Blake smirking? Impossible. She's an angel. Case closed." Meanwhile, Chrissy Teigen took to Twitter, saying, "Smirking in court? That's legendary. I aspire to that level of confidence." On the other hand, some celebrities have shown support for Justin. Gabrielle Union posted on Instagram, "We don't know the full story. Let's not be so quick to judge."
The big takeaway, though, that all the headlines are approaching is that she is now making it clear there are other women who felt uncomfortable on the set and that they will testify at trial. Now, that would seem damning, but she doesn't really offer any specifics. She doesn't provide any text. She doesn't tell us who these people are. Just says they don't want to get involved right now, given all the toxic virality out there, and that they will testify if necessary and be part of disclosures, etc., coming up, depositions, what have you. The first thing I noticed is, as I compared it to the last one, a lot of texts were actually removed. This is the new document, as I made a note here, but as you'll notice here, this is the original complaint. As you can see, that first text is still there, but she removed, they removed quite a few texts, specifically these right here. I want to show you the one, sorry, this is the one I'm trying to show you. The majority of socials are pro-Justin, and then they moved on their section. Majority of socials are Justin, but she removed the, he doesn't realize how lucky he is right now. We need to press on him how effing lucky. The whispering in the ear, the connotations, the JFC, other members feeling uncomfortable watching it. I mean, there's just so much. Now, you'd think these texts would be very important in her new amended complaint, but she's removed them. They're not in this complaint at all now. And part of the reason is probably because Justin revealed the context of these texts, because they did look more nefarious. But the context, if you read the full exchange, shows that Justin's publicists are saying it doesn't even matter if it's not true. And so the context of that exchange shows that they're out there combating lies.
Clearly, Hollywood is divided, and the media isn't letting this one go anytime soon. The hashtags #BlakeSmirk and #Justice for Justin have been trending non-stop, proving once again that nothing fuels Hollywood gossip quite like a high-profile courtroom clash. But here's the bigger question. What does this entire situation say about Hollywood's inner workings?
The FAC gives the New York Times adequate notice of the claims against it. The FAC alleges that the New York Times conspired with Lively, Reynolds, Sloan, and Vision PR to advance a false and defamatory narrative concerning the Wayfair parties, ultimately coordinating a near simultaneous drop of the article, video, and CRD complaint. The allegations in these three documents fall into two principal categories. One, allegations that certain of the Wayfair parties engaged in sexual misconduct towards Lively, and two, allegations that the Wayfair parties orchestrated a retaliatory smear campaign to damage Lively's image and reputation after she purportedly reported their alleged misconduct. Those allegations are false, and the New York Times either knew they were false or acted with reckless disregard as to their falsity. To the extent the New York Times is grouped in part of the FAC with other consolidated defendants, that is because, as alleged in the FAC, they conspired in secret over a matter of months. The precise contours of the New York Times' involvement were carefully concealed and impossible to ascertain fully without discovery.
Time and time again, we've seen powerful names get tangled in lawsuits, scandals, and public fallouts. The pressure to maintain a flawless public image is immense, and one misstep can make or break a career. Just look at recent controversies involving actors like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, or Shia LaBeouf's legal battles.
There have been a lot of comparisons between this case and the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard legal saga that unfolded in 2022. There is a big difference here, practically. We won't have cameras in the courtroom for the proceedings and potentially an upcoming trial for Lively Baldoni, this federal case. But why are we seeing the comparisons? Why are people making the comparisons? And do you think those comparisons ring true?
Jesse, thank you for having me. It's great to be here and to see you again. I think there are some comparisons. You have, on both sides, you have prominent actors, which you had also in the Depp case. I think the stakes are a little bit different in this case. In Johnny's case, he was suing for defamation. He was really suing to get his reputation back. It was more of an existential issue for him, a challenge that we had, and I think the other side had, but I think they really have it in this case, is to convince a jury of lay people why they should care about a dispute between two very powerful, successful, attractive actors. And I think that's a challenge irrespective of the serious nature of the allegations.
That's very true. And look, the allegations that were leveled in Depp v. Heard were very, very different than what we're talking about here.
Is this case just another example of how quickly the tide can turn against someone in Hollywood? Or is there a deeper lesson to be learned about accountability and resilience in the industry?
You talk about how important receipts are. And obviously, you know, Justin is bringing so many receipts. I was at a bachelorette weekend with people who were so team lively, I was like caught off guard. And so I kind of want to act like I'm one of them right now and ask you some questions. You know, they were saying to me, well, women have nothing to gain from coming out like that. I was trying to explain, well, this particular woman did. What would you say when people say women have nothing to gain by claiming sexual harassment?
Well, I would say that generally, no, you don't have much to gain. But like we've seen before, like, for example, Amber Heard, she had a lot to gain, right? You know, when it comes to getting a settlement from Johnny Depp and so on. And with Blake Lively now, that we've seen the receipts from Justin Baldoni, and I think all those people that you're talking about that are pro-Blake, they haven't bothered to look into his side of things. And what happened when that New York Times article came out? So many people jumped on that straight away, being like, oh my gosh, she sounds like a creep.
Either way, both Blake and Justin are now navigating uncharted waters. What happens next will determine whether this scandal fades into the background or remains a defining moment in their careers. All right, that's all we've got for today's deep dive. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Was Blake Lively's smirk justified, or was it unnecessary? Is Justin Baldoni being unfairly treated, or does he deserve the criticism? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more celebrity deep dives, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an update.